when I should have left myself alone. But I couldn't have, oh no, I couldn't have. I always open my gut when I shouldn't have, oh no, I shouldn't have.
Fucking A, we're in. Mate,
Okay.
thank you. Thank you for being here and talking to a stranger on the internet.
Yeah, the internet is a crazy place.
There's a lot of weirdos out there.
There are. Don't freak me out too much. We're off to a good start.
No, talking about that social media thing, you can connect with like-minded individuals. It's like the modern day forums, right? Like I remember, you go on the whole bodybuilding.com and like the gym setting or the old CrossFit forum. It was like people kind of post workouts that they did that really kicked them in the ass, and they was like, this was fun, like you should give it a crack. And you just kind of, link with people in Norway or the States or like fucking Zimbabwe or something. You're like, oh, there actually are like-minded individuals out there that, we think very similar and we like similar things, and we just want to get out and give this life thing a crack. And I think it is also a beautiful thing as well, because it does do that. It does bring us together, although we do like to focus on the division.
It's so true. I think this all the time. So I'm a doctor of physical therapy and I see a lot of clients in person. I'm in the United States, in Louisiana particularly, where we are not the place where I live, and I don't know about you, like we are not progressive in terms of health and wellness. Like we are, in terms of just the United States, the state that I live in is usually ranked like last in terms, our obesity rates are the highest, our like education rate is the lowest. Our rates of like diabetes are some of the highest in the US. And it's really interesting owning a health and wellness business here. But I will say, I have so many clients that enter into my office and I'm like, man, you are such a target client. Like, I can't wait to get to know you and I can't wait to work with you and I can't wait to, help you optimize your health and wellness and your performance and things like that. And I'm like, how did you end up here? Like, how did you find me? And they're like, well, every time you talk on social media, I just feel like you're talking to me. And so as much as, we were just talking about how challenging social media can be, it's like, it has created a way for me. And those are for clients in person, but it's the same thing for people around the world. Like we connected via Instagram, and I think one of the things that has given me so much purpose in life is connecting with a community, right? Like humans we're pack creatures. Like we are pack creatures and we are always looking for a community. And me being able to serve the community that I connect with the most has just given me so much purpose, and it has given me wellness myself, because I think there is like wellness in purpose. So it's crazy that you're so right. There are like-minded people everywhere and it can be hard to find them, but if you just keep talking about the things that you care about and you keep putting, I believe in frequencies and energy and, things like that. If you put the energy in the world that you want to receive, like it will come to you. It will.
And it's like we can allow people into the conversation, not in real time. They can access this conversation or they can access the video that you put up or a post or something at their convenience, and they're still part of the conversation.
They're still receiving the energy.
Yeah, I think it's so trippy when you think about it, but it is also beautiful at the same time, right? Like maybe someone's got only 5 minutes to themselves that day and they feel real lonely and they're doing whatever and things aren't going to plan, and they see something come up on their social media and they're like, oh, okay, well, that I relate to that a little bit, even though we might not be in the same bloody continent, hemisphere. It doesn't really matter. There is somebody out there who thinks similar, and maybe that gives you the one strand of strength that keeps you going that day.
Yeah, it's so true. I think a lot of people spend their lives feeling really isolated and feeling like they're alone in whatever they're going through, whatever their struggles are, whatever their challenges are, whatever they're trying to work towards, they feel like I'm doing this alone. And it's really not true. We all, at the end of the day, go through maybe very similar experiences, maybe through a different lens, but the themes of life are the same for everyone.
Mm.
They really are. So yeah, it is really crazy to think about on a meta level, but it is a really profound thing to be able to connect with people share who share the same sentiment in terms of the way that they want to live and the things that they care about and how they want to treat their bodies. Um, it's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool, mate. That is pretty cool. Why do you think Louisiana always ranks the lowest?
That's a really good question. I think it boils down to probably our education system. I mean, it's multifaceted, it's multifactorial, but I do think in terms of health education, just like the information that young kids receive in school is lacking. And then that is just a trickle effect. If you're a parent of a child that you as the parent never received adequate health information, you're not going to trickle it down to your children either. So I think that's a big factor there. Of course, like access is a big deal, maybe lower socioeconomic status as a whole. That can probably contribute as well, but I think it's really has to do with education, like from a very young age.
Do you think that's more of like a system thing, or do you think it's socially a little bit less talked about and it goes on deaf ears and people end
I
up forgetting about it?
It has to be both. I don't think it's one or the other. I think it's from a system standpoint for sure. But I also think socially, it is a place that's known for partying. And like, if you mention Louisiana, like maybe you've even heard, like, you're all the way on another continent, but like maybe you've heard of New Orleans, Louisiana. Have you? You
Yeah, of
have?
course. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And what is the thing that like you've heard about New
Well,
Orleans?
it's like carnival, right?
Yeah, Mardi Gras party, like
Mm.
that it's something that's like decades and hundreds of years old, and that's what culturally gets celebrated here. It doesn't get celebrated to like be a sober person here. It doesn't get celebrated to like be gluten-free or dairy-free or like do a 75 hard or something like that. Those are the types of things that can make you feel very isolated in New Orleans. So like going back to our conversation about we are all communal, we are pack creatures. Socially, if you are someone who is really interested in optimizing your health and wellness, and you are maybe interested in going to bed early instead of staying out late and partying, like you are going to feel somewhat isolated in Louisiana. You will feel that way, and that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. So I think it's systematic, but I think it's really social as well.
How would somebody go about dealing with that loneliness of I want to go left, but everyone's going right?
I feel like I can answer that question really well because I live here. I do it every day. Everyone's going left here and I'm going right. And at the end of the day, I've had to tune the fuck in to what matters to me. And what matters to me is not fitting in, and it matters to have a community to me. And I think that is one of the biggest reasons why I'm so drawn to social media, and I actually like if someone asks me, do I love social media? My immediate answer is yes, because I have found a community in social media that I have had a hard time finding in person in the community in which I live. There's just not as many. New Orleans is actually not that densely populated when compared to like other large cities like New York or like Los Angeles. Like we're a major city, but we're pretty small. So anyway, I think you have to look inside of yourself to really think about what do you want from your life? And ultimately, later in life, what are you going to look back and be proud of? Are you going to be proud that you just followed the leader and did everything that everyone else wanted you to do? Are you going to be proud that you followed your own path and you paved your own way? And um, it it definitely also kind of goes into like how secure are you with yourself? Like how much I think so many people just spend so much time hating themselves and feeling so insecure and so, so full of like sadness for themselves. And I think ultimately it's the ultimate act of self-love to say, you know what, I am going to do this no matter what the perception of it is, because I know that internally that is going to be what serves me.
Why do you think people care about what other people think about them so much?
I think it's different for a lot of people, honestly. I think some of it goes down to how they were raised as children. There's definitely people out there who just really, to survive and like a primal instinct, they're just so desperate to feel validated or to get some affirmations that they're doing something right, and maybe things that they never got from a parent or a family member or a loved one. I think that that could definitely be part of it. It's just childhood trauma is a bitch. It- it's a
Yeah.
bitch, and I think it's a cause for a lot of unresolved issues as an adult. Even like, again, going back to like, I treat a lot of pain and injuries, and unresolved trauma often manifests itself as physical pain.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the most common things that people do not realize, but if you do not let things move through you, they will stay within you. Um, so I think it definitely, I think a big part of it is like going back to childhood experiences. And um, again, it's primal to want to fit in and to want to be part of something. But I also think a lot of it is just deep-seated self-image issues. That's a lot of what it
Mm.
is.
Mm. Sorry, I just follow curiosity here. If I have a question, I'm just going to start poking you in the ribs. Just be like, what's your perspective on it? Like, I don't know.
Cool.
The only thing I know is I
I'm
know nothing.
down. Yeah, right. Same here.
And I have a big conversation with myself of a nature nurture thing, right? Of like, what holds most weight? Is
Yeah.
it the cards you dealt, or is it the environment in which you grew up in?
Yeah.
Um, I think it's a combination of the two. I think the environment has more of an impact, personal opinion, than the cards you're actually dealt. However, the influence other people have on many folks out there baffles the fuck out of me.
It's crazy.
And I really think that it actually has a direct correlation with people not knowing who they are. And
Hmm.
I think we need to kind of go off into the woods on our own a little bit, whether that's mentally and you're just doing it on your couch, or whether that's actually going off into the woods like me, the crazy fuck that I am. But you gotta go. I don't want to use the term find yourself because you sound like a fucking 21-year-old hippie.
Yeah,
You
but you
know,
do. You
you
have to.
you right. You gotta go face who the fuck you are,
Yeah.
who you don't like, who you do like, who you want to be, who you have been. Um, And I think too many people don't.
I think it's because it's really uncomfortable. There is no way that you determine who you want to be and what you want and what really matters to you without going through some level of discomfort. And there's a lot of people walking around just looking into the sky hoping for like all of the answers to fall on them, but in I think most people who have a really strong sense of self, who have a strong sense of values, who have strong boundaries, have been through the fire. Like it's because they've been through something incredibly challenging or difficult. Um, and so I think a lot of people shy away from going into the woods, quote unquote, whether it's actually doing that or like, like you said, just you're in your own home figuring it out. But all of that comes with so much discomfort.
Yeah.
And we are so like our society has just become so comfortable. There's this really great book, maybe you've read it, called The Comfort Crisis. And it just talks about, it's wonderful. It just talks about how comparing how we all operate. Like now we can just drive ourselves to the food store, the grocery store and get our food, whereas like we had to sit outside and hunt for the food. Like that's uncomfortable, but so many things that used to cause discomfort are now really comfortable. Like you can text somebody something really mean or rude instead of
Mhm.
having to confront them and to their face now, or you can comment on someone's social media post as someone you've never met. And you can take out all of your just nervous system dysregulation on a random stranger on the internet. That's too comfortable. Like that
Yeah.
is too comfortable. And so as a society, I think people have gotten so accustomed to so much comfort that discomfort is scary and people shy away from it. So,
Mm. Two things come to mind, kind of three things. Materialism, the whole mollycoddling kids, and then this whole work or hustle culture type shit of like,
yeah,
I'm gonna work all the goddamn time. And that's great. Fantastic. Sometimes you got to do that to get yourself out of certain situations. But if you do that all
yeah,
the time, you are going to be so fucking spent
yeah.
that I guarantee you, you're grasping hold of a vice somewhere.
It's so true. I've actually gone through a period of self-realization in terms of hustle culture because I own my own company and it took a lot to get it off the ground. It still takes a lot to this day to keep it running and it's still very new. I've only been in business 2.5 years. And I found myself, I am so diligent with my wellness practices. I eat the cleanest foods, I exercise, I meditate, I do all of these things. But I found myself in the ultimate state of burnout last year,
Yeah.
feeling sick. I mean, having actual physical symptoms of illness because I was so burnt out. And I think some people don't realize that like slowing down is wellness too.
Mhm.
Um, and there's a lot of us who do get stuck in this hustle culture. And I know in the United States, it's such a celebrated thing here sometimes. Like people love to post about like how hard they work and the thing that long hours that they're working and things like that. And ultimately, I think people see that and are like, I should be doing that too. Like I'm lazy or, why am I not working all hours of the day? And corporate companies have celebrated that too.
Yeah.
In terms of everything has gotten more expensive. Like the world has gotten more expensive. Like, and so I just think people like employers want to get more out of their employees. It's just like a trickle down effect for sure. But even if you're not involved in the corporate world, it's really easy to do to yourself. I'm really good at it. I'm an expert at hustling. I am like A+ at hustling, and it makes me feel very sick. It makes me feel very sick. Um, it's a constant battle for me. But there are days where I feel that I have got to work 12 hours today. I have to. And I'm not going to feel guilty about it. I'm not going to spend my time regretting it or feeling shame about it. I'm just going to move past it the next day and work less. And so it is, I think it it's so hard finding the balance, but
Mm.
hustle culture is burning people's nervous systems to the ground. And at the end of the day, your nervous system is your protective shield. We are all going to experience injury, illness, sickness. Like it is inevitable. You can be the most intense biohacker, like you can have the most intense wellness practices, like you are going to experience some sort of setback. And depending on the state of your nervous system, you're either going to be able to handle it with resilience or you're not. And if you are burnt out, that little flu that you get is going to be 3 weeks on the couch, or that back strain that you get is going to take you 6 months to recover from instead of just 6 weeks. So anyway, hustle culture.
Mate, I couldn't agree more with you. So you crack on. You want to run down that rabbit hole, you go as far as you want with it. Because I completely agree. We talk about the same thing in fitness, right? The sickness, wellness, fitness continuum is what they call in the level one of the CrossFit. Is like, okay, well, we want to get as fit as possible. So we get furthest away from illness. I think that's great. But the rest is in there as well. And it's the same with, financial freedom and all that type of stuff. You're like, yeah, okay, you want to get as far away from being homeless as possible. Yes. But at what cost?
Yeah.
You're gonna fuck yourself for doing it. I think one generation before us, they turned around and said, well, I'm gonna give you a gold star on your grave because you're a really hard worker. I was like, yeah, okay, but what the fuck did that get them? It
Right.
got them an early grave, mate. You know what I mean? And if this is literally we get one damn shot, there is one fucking thing in the chamber, and you're gonna spend it so some sort of like machine can make some more cash. Like, I don't quite understand it. Trading the time for what? Like it's so strange. And I think about something a mate of mine said to me a few years ago, and they did the mural for my studio for this podcast thing.
Yeah.
They did the mural in the back, and they turned around and was like, Alex, because they're an artist, right? I was like, all right, yeah, it's a song. I was like, I have to schedule time where I don't do anything. And I was like, why? I was like, because creativity comes from boredom.
So true. It's so true.
And it fucking hell, mate, it kicked me in the dick. I was like, wow, that is
Yeah.
fantastic. If we're always busy,
Yeah.
how are you being creative? And creativity cares about tomorrow. And if we're always busy, we're only caring about today. But tomorrow's going to bloody come, mate. And what are you going to do again? You're going to start sprinting on a treadmill? I was like, no, we need to know where we're going. So you need to, yes, work fucking hard. And I think we need the capability to do those 12, 14, 16, 18, 20-hour days, right? The
Yeah.
unbelievable grind. You need the ability to do that
Yep.
all the time. You need to reassess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think having the ability to do it is a really special gift. And I
Yeah.
think most people don't have it because it's hard. It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable. Um, but having that ability also comes with an incredible burden. Like it does, of knowing when you don't need to access that. You don't need to have that. You don't need to access that on a daily basis. And it's so true. I can't tell you how many of my most creative ideas and like the things that have really moved me forward in life have come from just silence and
Mhm.
peace and quiet. And I know at this point when I'm I'm experiencing weeks or months like leading up to this stage of burnout, like I can spot it from a mile away now because it's happened to me so many times. And when I really want to create, like say I want to move my business forward, or I want to start a new program for clients or whatever it is, I know if I want that program to be successful, I have to slow down before I launch it. Like I have to slow down before it comes to fruition.
Oh yeah, because then you're just throwing any shit at the wall and being like, "This will do." You're like, no, you need to sit back and kind of lose yourself in the art form of creating it. You know, it is an art form. It's just a different medium as what we're used to. It's like the Mona Lisa or in the Louvre or something. It's like, no, no, no. This is your art form. Your art form is physical therapy, and it is business, and it is people, and it is the nervous system, and it is the communication between people, and it's the leadership, and it's like all these intertwining things. I was like, yes, that doesn't come in the 5 minutes it takes for you to take a dump in the morning. You know, it's like you need to sit down and
No,
stare at it and get
be
really
quiet.
fucking annoyed at it and then screw it all up and be like, oh, why am I doing this? And I was like, well, you're doing it because it's a little bit of like self-sabotage, a bit of sadistic. You love it, but when it's done, that's the best of your ability. You know, it's taken you 12 drafts, but that's your best foot forward. That's you caring
Yeah.
about you and everybody else in a year's time, not now. I think it's beautiful, mate.
Yeah, it's so true. There's another great book. Sorry, I'm going to reference a bunch of books here, but
Please.
um, The War of Art. Have
Mm.
you read that book?
I really want to read it. I can't get
It's
hold of it
so,
anywhere here. I'm gonna have to
oh, it's
order it off
so
Amazon or
good. You'll
something.
have to send me your address. I'll mail it to you.
Ah, no fucking way.
Um, yeah, it's so good. It's just it uses the word art as this flexible paradigm of whatever it is that you're creating, and it just kind of talks about the resistance that you have to get through, and at every level there's another devil
Mm.
essentially. But I reference it all the time in my own life. I reference it with my clients. It's a gem of a book.
Oh, I love it because it's the way I have always thought about this coaching thing. Just being on the gym floor helping some folks, and then also
Yeah.
the complete opposite of like wrestling with words and trying to create books. You know, it's like those two things are mediums. They're just art forms. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, I can't quite polish this thing. I can't quite get Mona and Lisa's smile right. But it's in that process where the magic happens, you know, and I really do think it's wonderful. We carve off a little bit of ourselves and put it into our work because that's life. You know, I think that's what life is, part of it essentially is like, well, you're developing the relationship with yourself by doing work for other people.
Yeah. It's so funny that you say that, because something that has happened in my life somewhat recently, I guess, I have like 5 Instagram accounts. I mean, I just have so many Instagram accounts,
You
and
know when I said those
I
weirdos out there?
have, yeah,
I'm
I'm
fucking with
one of them.
I'm fucking with
Um, yeah. I have a personal Instagram account that I've just had for years since I was in college, where I post the pictures of my dogs and my family and whatever. And then I also have my business account, Dr. Michelle Gaubert. And recently I went to look at my personal Instagram account, and I realized I haven't posted on my personal Instagram account in over a year. And I was thinking, like, why is that? And I really think it is because I used to keep it separate because I was so afraid to integrate my own life into my business. And what I've realized recently is, like, my business is me, and I am my business, but in the same sense, my business isn't my whole life. I'm much more than that, but it's also like it's a piece of me. And so I don't need to post my personal life separately from my business life. Like, I'm living inside of the business that I created. And it was like such an aha moment to me, like how blissful and lucky I am to be able to do that, because I do think so many people go to work every day and just they have such a separation between what makes them happy at work and what makes them happy in their real life. And I'm so lucky to have both, where I have this freedom to like be who I am inside of my work and have my work motivate me to be better, and then have me, you know, rubbing off or sharing the things, the knowledge that I've gained like inside of my work. So it is really, it's a cool thing.
Mm. I came to that realization recently too, as well. I think it was this week, to be honest with you. It's like, well, I come from a bit of a blue collar city. Everyone
Mhm.
just works with their hands. They, grind their bloody bones to the dust, and then it was like, okay, job done. And they spend the rest of their pennies in the boozer. And it's like, well, life's got to be more than that, mate. And you got to meet more people, and you got to be able to see more things and learn new stuff. So you can't just numb your brain for 9 hours a day, 10 hours, 12 hours a day, and then be like, oh, I gotta go get 4 pints on the way home so I can feel all right. And then I'll
Yeah,
just go to bed and, do it all over again. I was like, what is the fucking point in it then?
there's so many people doing that.
I can't. That's not for me. That.
I know, me neither. It's not for me either, but I think it's rampant in this world. Rampant. And I think that's probably why people resort to other things, they resort to alcohol
Yeah.
and drugs and things like that, is because there's just such a lack of fulfillment in their
Oh
day-to-day
yeah.
life.
Oh yeah. I can understand why someone will do the quote unquote unknown things. I was like, yeah, wouldn't you? Like life would be
Yep,
fucking shite.
totally get it. Sure do. Makes sense to me.
It gives you 15 minutes of fame, like sound.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's more like, okay, cool. Like, what are we gonna do now then? Are you gonna continue going down this road because you know where it leads? Or are we gonna be like, actually, I'm gonna take the hard part for the short term and change your life for the long term?
Yeah.
But Chief, I got a question.
Yeah.
What are the 3 words you would tell your younger self?
Tell my younger self.
Yeah.
Oh, it 3 words. Okay. Well, number one would be slow down. So I'm counting slow down as one word.
Okay. I,
Slow
I put it.
down.
I put a dash in there.
Yeah, put
I am
a dash.
dyslexic, so I wouldn't know the difference.
Put a dash in it. Number two would be trust. And number three would probably be blossom.
Hmm.
Should I explain them or do I just say the words?
I mean, I would love to hear why Blossom.
I spent so much time feeling so insecure about myself and so shy to share like who I truly am. And like same conversation we were just having about my separate Instagram accounts, because um I just felt like so many areas of my life kind of like conflict with other areas. And um I I wish I would have known sooner to just like, people want the authentic you. Like that is why they care about you, is because they want to see the authentic you, and you hiding it from yourself and hiding it from the world is just making you miserable and depriving the world of the beautiful blossom that you can be. And so I think a lot of people sort of hide that true authenticity, and I wish wouldn't have hidden it
Hmm.
for as long as I did. Um, yeah.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
This has been an honor and a privilege, mate. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much for reaching out. It's been super fun.
Welcome back. You can talk shit with me anytime you want, mate. I appreciate it.
Email me your address. I'm going to mail you a book.
Thank you very much. All right.
Yeah.
We'll talk soon. You have a wonderful day.
Okay. Thanks so much. You too.
Thanks, Chief. Bye, everybody.
Bye.